Welcome to the Consultants Counsel podcast, a place for consulting industry guidance and best practice advisory. Whether you're working to grow in your consulting career, you're managing and developing a consulting firm, you're working with consultants, or you're just interested in business and high-performance advice, we've got recommendations and education for you. I'm Kelsey Creveling, founder and CEO of Kelsey Consulting, a firm focused on building high-performing organizations, teams, and individuals through a variety of ventures, including the Consultants Counsel. I've spent my career at the intersection of technology and management consulting, working with organizations across the country to help solve their toughest challenges, while also supporting the growth and development of multiple consulting firms, helping them improve their long-term performance trajectory. In addition, I'm an entrepreneur across a few different industries, and I serve as a startup investor and advisor, promoting the ideas of other entrepreneurs as they work to gain traction in their industries. With so many people gearing up to launch their own businesses and establish their own consulting practices, I want to make available the advice and lessons I've learned along the way. This podcast is made possible by Kelsey Consulting, with media support by Class Act Media. For more information, check out our site at theconsultantscounsel.com and kelsey.consulting. That's KELSC.consulting. And now, stay tuned for this episode's counseling, because the consulting world is full of nuances, and the answer is always, it depends. What's possible? Do more? Hey there, it's Kelsey Creveling with the Consultants Counsel podcast, and today we're going to talk about how to be an effective manager. Now, you'll notice that today's episode is audio only, and that's for good reason. To be an effective manager, you have to put yourself aside. You have to focus on what's best for your team members and to put their needs, sometimes even in front of your own, in order to build an effective team and to help develop those individuals into the best versions of themselves. Egotistical managers are not the best ones. Those that are looking out for their own needs above their team members really don't enable their teams to grow in the way that they can. And so today we're really just focusing on how can we collaborate, work with, grow and develop others effectively. So this episode is going to be stellar for those of you who are becoming first-time managers, whether that be you're managing a team from a project perspective, or you're actually stepping up as a direct leader for team members. You'll have people actually being your direct reports. There's lots of different ways to manage and work with others, and learning how to do it effectively will go a very long way, not only in helping you develop your career, but in really making a positive difference for the people that you work with. Now, if you've been working for any period of time, you have likely interfaced and interacted with lots of different personalities. And I think many of us have plenty of experience with leaders that we like and respect, and those that maybe had areas that we did not respond as well to. And so the goal here is really just to help identify what are the things that make a difference. What are the things that, as you're gearing up towards collaborating with others, you can do to set yourself apart and to establish your teams effectively and to help them feel like you are their champion. All right, first up, let's talk about managing project teams. So in this instance, you may be taking on more of a project management role, which will require the oversight of specific key deliverables for an effort, and you'll be overseeing different team members in order to achieve the desired results. You may not be, in this instance, team members' direct manager, but you are the person overseeing what it is that they're working on a day-to-day basis, and you're responsible for making sure that those deliverables are met effectively. This is oftentimes the first aspect of team management and working with others that people are promoted into. Oftentimes it's because they have a great skill set, they are technically competent in a certain area, and they're ready to be able to collaborate, and be more than an individual contributor. In these instances, the best thing to do when working with a new team is to first get really clear on the specifics of the project that you're overseeing. Understand what your client deliverables are, what the needs of the project are, and then spend some deep time in thinking through, what are you looking for this team's culture to feel like? How do you want everyone to interact and engage? What's the overall demeanor of the organization that you're working within? And what are the overarching expectations that that organization are going to have for you? Now, once you've gained a sense of the culture that you want to cultivate as a part of the team that you're going to be overseeing, spending some time outlining the specifics of how you're going to manage your team. If you have leeway on this, then really thinking through, okay, what's our team meeting structure going to look like? How frequently are we going to have check-ins? How am I going to communicate expectations for my team members? How am I going to share feedback? How are we going to tout and celebrate our wins? And how are we going to mitigate our challenges and our difficulties? Really getting very clear on what that is going to look like for your project team is paramount towards being able to kick off a project effectively and then oversee it throughout the long term. I see many novice project managers jump into a project and only focus on the specifics of what has to get done, and they don't spend time at the beginning really teeing up all of the different components of the people management side of what they're going to be working on. Getting really clear on all of those different components will go a very large way towards supporting a culture and a dynamic that is engaging and positive and rewarding. You want the people that you're working with in all the interactions that you get to have with them to have a positive experience. Work and deliverables are challenging enough. You don't want to be the cause of strife unnecessarily because of poor communications, unclear expectations, and general difficulties that could be mitigated. Inevitably, there will be things that arise that require intervention, that require potentially constructive feedback, but you don't want people's challenges on a project to be because of a lack of leadership or a lack of understanding or of just a fostering of a toxic environment. Taking the time before you dig in with the team members to set those expectations and be very clear on what they are will really make a profound difference. Making sure that you have appropriate time built into the beginning of the schedule to do a kickoff and to really set expectations and to bring everyone together. Let your team get to know each other and who they are beyond work will go a long way towards helping everyone feel confident and connected and really foster a sense of camaraderie with the team that they're working on. In addition, throughout the project, making sure that you have an open door, that your team members know that they can come to you and discuss the challenges, concerns, and escalations that they may have as a part of the engagement they're working on is really important. You want your team members to know that you have that open door and that you are a source of support, not of concern or a desire to keep things hidden or obscured. You want to make sure that your team knows that they can come to you regardless of the challenge and that you will handle it professionally, diplomatically, and considerately for all involved. In addition, make sure that you are really working to provide feedback on a regular cadence to your team members' direct managers and to them specifically. I often see where team members will find out from their direct boss that they've potentially received feedback from their project manager that they didn't receive directly. And that's unfair in my perspective. You really want to make sure that if there's things that you would like to see your team members working on or improving, you're working with them immediately on that feedback so that they can implement it, so that they can make a change, and so that it doesn't become a negative part of their potential ongoing performance record, but rather an opportunity for growth and learning. Obviously, if there are performance concerns and you're working to address them specifically with the team member, you're also going to be communicating with their direct leadership, but giving them an opportunity to hear it from you and to hear how they can continue to improve and meet expectations and exceed expectations, that will go a long way towards helping people understand that, hey, you know what? This is a collaborative environment. Here's where I'm doing really well, and here's opportunities for optimization and improvement. While the overarching goal of working on teams from a project management perspective is to deliver stellar results that are on time and on or under budget, the bigger, more macro perspective is also to make sure that you're building a team that enjoys working together, that is learning and growing from that experience. Because those are people that are then going to go out into the world, they're going to have opportunities to work in other capacities, they're going to be interacting with other people, and they can either have really great things to say about their experience, even if it was a hard experience from a project perspective, but that they learned, that they enjoyed it, that they have lessons learned that they can take from it, or that it was terrible. And you want it to be the former of those two things. You want them to look back on that time and to have grown from it, and to then be able to utilize that skill set really effectively when they work with others. Otherwise, if you're just continuing to perpetuate a cycle of toxic leadership and unfair management and building an environment of resentfulness, well, that's just going to continue to magnify and materialize out in the world. And that's not what we want to be putting out there when we're in the position of leadership and working with others to facilitate great results. Now, much like when you're managing teams, when you are in a direct leadership role for others, when you've been promoted into a position where you've got team members reporting to you from an employment perspective, you're responsible for HR-related decisions, hiring, firing, and performance reviews. A lot of the same expectations when managing people as a part of a project apply. So I won't repeat those things, but what becomes even more critical is the ability to support your team members' growth, the ability to be an advocate for them and a champion for them, and to really take a hard look at what are their skills, what are they doing really well, what are areas for opportunity that they can learn from, and how can you help cultivate those things for them. Being the manager that can open up doors for your team members is just a gift. The ability to see your team members' skill sets and to see the specialness within them and the possibilities that they are capable of achieving with great guidance and support is truly a gift. To be in a leadership position of that kind is a privilege, but it's one that is not to be taken lightly, for you are responsible for how that individual is going to, at least in the role that they're in, navigate that environment, navigate the projects that they're on, navigate the company that they work within, and it's going to set them up for a lot of future potential success or professional disappointment. And you want to be somebody who can be fostering that stellar career for your team members. And so being an effective leader of others really means being able to put yourself in the back seat, being able to not focus in on the differences between you and those that you're leading, but rather to focus in on the similarities and the skill sets and the commonalities and the ways with which you can help share your knowledge, your expertise, and your skill to help bolster their future success. Now, I have a colleague who I adore, who really focuses on projecting love into the work world and into everyone that you interact with. I recognize that that might be a hard thing to be comfortable with in the workplace for some, and as a result, I won't advocate for that specifically. But what I will advocate for when you are managing and working with others is the ability to share empathy and kindness and consideration for those that you lead, to care deeply for them and to care for their outcomes. While you may have challenging interactions and experiences where team members are not meeting expectations and you're having to provide less than fun feedback, recognizing that you can do it in a diplomatic and considerate way that is still respectful of their strengths and their skill sets and their feelings. Nobody likes to receive feedback that is not positive. That is in our DNA to resist it. But when you can package it in a way that is considerate and measured and provides opportunities for them to understand why that feedback is being delivered and gives them room to be able to improve, that will make a material difference in how they see themselves, in how they show up in the work that they do, and in how they interact with others. So while you may not be comfortable projecting love towards everyone that you work with, when you can project kindness and consideration and empathy, that will make a profound difference on how the people you are directly responsible for managing show up in the world, both at work and in their lives. And that is such a privilege, but it's also such an incredible responsibility. And it's one that I don't think enough leaders, especially when they're early on in their careers and focused on their own outcomes, give enough latitude towards considering. And it's something that if you are entering the world of being responsible for managing others, both whether that be in their projects or in their careers, you really take time to fully appreciate the gift of that responsibility, but also the outcomes of that responsibility. Take time to really measure what type of leader you want to be and what type of product you want to put out into those that you're working with. Because I can assure you that the people that you interact with and that you lead and that you manage and work with will remember you. They will remember the things that you said to them, whether that be good or bad, and that will cause certain inflection points throughout their career. The positive, the motivating, the encouraging, the supportive, those will champion them along the way. Whereas the things that are detrimental or unkind or inconsiderate or given without thought for how it might affect them, that will potentially wear on them throughout the course of their career and their life. So being really mindful about how you deliver feedback and in how you interact and in what you say and in what type of leader you want to be will truly change people's careers, their outcomes, and their perceptions of themselves and how they are able to lead and show up for others. I've been fortunate throughout my career to have had some great managers, some good managers, and some that, we're learning along the way. And as a result, it's been my privilege to get to work with other people. And I am also really grateful for the experiences that I've had working with different leaders because it's informed how I choose to show up for those that I work with and get to support. We oftentimes are able to take things that we didn't enjoy or didn't like and convert it into how we would do things differently. And so regardless of the experiences that I've had, I'm grateful for how they have informed my own perspective and how they have shaped the way that I engage with those that I have the privilege of working with. And so my hope for all that are listening to this podcast is to really take a moment to appreciate the gift that is getting to work with others, to feel the weight of responsibility that it is, and then to go forward in a way that is supportive, kind, and considerate for those that you are working with. So this was a quick podcast today, but hopefully for anyone who is getting started in a role where they are responsible for managing others and having to collaborate effectively. I hope it is helpful. Cheers. Have a great day. And that's a wrap on this episode of the Consultants Counsel. Thank you so much for your interest and engagement. Let us know what you'd like to learn more about by writing into info@theconsultantscouncil.com. Thanks to Kelsey Consulting for sponsoring this podcast and to Class Act Media for the media support. And with that, cheers and all my best. Have a great week. And remember, what's possible? Do more.